as well as getting our resources directed towards our students, which at least at that time, and it hasn't changed to today, involved potentially closing some schools. What I was told loud and clear by essentially everyone but the members sitting up here at this table with me is that dealing with attendance zones and dealing with school closures are the third rail of boards of education, and don't touch it. Obviously, at least 38 years worth of school board preceding us have felt that way. Judging by the passion of the community and speaking up on all these issues, there's a reason for that. It doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make me proud to have closed schools. What it does is make me proud in this school board for making decisions that I think are for the best interests of children and tackling issues that obviously people don't want to tackle or don't want to discuss. The proudest moment of this particular venture for me will be that time, and I'm sure it will come, and if I wasn't sure of that, I personally wouldn't be doing this, is when we have a need to build more schools because we have additional students and individuals coming into the city, and I feel strongly that that day will come. I'm extremely proud of this process. I'm particularly proud of the responsiveness as demonstrated by this board. It's easy, and I think this community is getting used to throwing stones at processes and saying, why did you ask for input? You're not asking for input, you're not looking for it, you're going through the motions. And then when you react, it's, well, why did you ask for our input anyway if you're not going to do it? And I would remind you that we started 3 versions of this ago. And in each version that has resulted, the versions and changes to those versions have been in direct response to the input received from this community. What has not been helpful, and there's not been much that has been helpful. What has not, however, been helpful are those very small segments of the community as a whole that simply say, we reject what you do. We reject it out of hand. Start from scratch, do something different. That's not helpful. It's not helpful to say we reject what you're trying to do, ignoring the fact that no one else has had the nuts to do anything about that for 38 years. What is helpful is when you say, we don't particularly care for this, and here are our suggestions for how to make it better. And I'm pleased to say that that is 99 to 95% of the kind of input that we've received. I'm extremely proud of this entire board as a whole, which I think has gone through a great deal of personal and professional sacrifice to arrive at what I hope will be one of our final major decisions so that we can allow this administration as well as the teachers and the PTA presidents and the central council folks to get back to the job of focusing exclusively on our children. I reject option 1. It's a continuation of 38 years that by any measure has not worked. Option 2 and 3, it is not a rejection in my mind. I like them both. I think they both take us much farther forward, and my inclination is for option 3 by a very small squib, simply because I think the feeder patterns are cleaner between elementary and middle schools, and because I think it achieves the best balance of all of the factors that we're trying to consider in arriving at this round of attendance zone analysis. I would like to charge the administration, if this is the option that we proceed forward with aggressively pushing the focused school concept, essentially a year-round school concept in Fitchburg, with an emphasis on increasing its diversity. And I think we could make that a shining jewel of how to make a wonderful school that is both consistent with our best values as well as the best values moving forward. Everybody said something on Mr. Penn, and I usually try not to be very dramatic about things, but I don't think anybody in this room has a true feeling and a concept of the kind of personal and professional sacrifice that Mr. Penn has undergone. So I'm confident my fellow board members would join me. I wish you'd all join me in standing thanks. That being said, I certainly ask my fellow board members if they have anything else to share. I'd ask Dr. Bishop if she has anything else she'd like to share.
I would just like to say that I've worked with lots of school boards, and this is, without question, the most professional, dignified, and hard-working school board I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And as the board has mentioned, it has always been my pleasure the last, close to 2 years to work with the staff, because you are the best. And I appreciate each one of you.
Thank you, Dr. Bishop. And on behalf of the board, I also extend our thanks to the entire administrative staff, singling out Dean Pollock and John Lincoln, as well as everyone involved in the process. Fellow members, I think based on your comments, I would ask for a motion on option 3 that is inclusive of the change we approved with the Fishburne focus school. So I'd ask for a motion on that.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bingham. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Huff. Do we have any other comments and questions on the motion as made and amended?
Mr. Chair, I think it's probably good to note that that transfer policy could be a next part of this discussion, and that I'm going to caution that in that transfer policy that we don't undo the work of the decision. And anytime I hear no child left behind school choice options for kids that have good attendance, good grades, and so forth, automatically what that says is, let's take the kids that are in some of the more low-income communities and take them to the schools that are in the more high-income, leaving those schools without the leadership, without the truly gifted, without the quality of student that kind of drives sport to kind of create examples. And that concerns me. So I think whatever policy we move forward on, I hope that we think very carefully about a transfer policy for the district and make sure that it is in line with the work that we've done so far.
Well said, and I think in conjunction with that, it's been mentioned from the dais, but I think it's important to note that we view as an integral part and parcel of this decision today that we're about to vote on, the equity resolution that we have adopted and the equity policy that is being worked on and will soon be adopted. We view those as a board, as attached at the hip. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your comments. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. Bingham.
Yes.
Mrs. Huff. Yes. Mrs. Moore. Yes. Mr. Penn.
No.
Mr. Putney.
Yes.
Ms. Boyd. Yes. Mr. Carson.
Yes. We are at an end. I would anticipate